Oh, here we go. Okay, I don't have a theme song yet, so I'm going to try to do a theme song. It's the Josh Jams podcast. Nobody asked for this. Welcome to the Josh Jams podcast. It's episode 2, and I'm back with my friend, Pat Breen. Yeah, thank you.
We have an
I didn't get
in-studio
the
audience.
soundboard
Did
yet.
you know that? Yeah, you got to
It
get
sounded
all
pretty
the
good when you did that.
little sound effects.
Do you go by Patrick
Yeah,
Breen?
you know.
Is that the way we do it? Okay. Let me try again. With my
It's so funny because
guest, Patrick Breen. Woo! There you go.
we got an in-studio
Nice.
audience today, Josh.
Deja vu too. Yo, it's good to see you, Pat. Oh,
Dude, it's great to see you as
you know what I
always.
have to do. I must say before we jump in, this podcast is brought to you by Pick World Picks. Use code JoshJams for 10% off. Are you a guitarist?
Right on, man.
Maybe, but not if you don't have a pick that has your name on it. That's how you know you've made it. And honestly, the cost to entry is low. You can just make the pick. You don't even have to practice. I would do it. Hand out the
Can't
picks.
confirm,
People will be like,
Josh.
he must be good. What? All right. When I'm coming to LA in March, we're going to trade. Deal? I know you already have
We'll
one
trade.
too.
Yeah, let's trade. I know
All
because
right.
you're a
I need
good
that
you're a good
PB
friend,
that
and I'm
PB pick.
yeah,
All right,
peanut
Pat.
butter.
Welcome to the podcast. It's episode 2. I just had our boy T John to kick us off, and things
He's
are
a
still
good-
taking
he's a good
shape. You know what I
kickoff
mean? We're
guest.
figuring it out as we go. Before we jump too far in, I asked him if he's got any questions for you, and he said, "Why did Pat steal my haircut?"
TJ said that. I got a little different haircut, but
Yeah.
TJ and I
Wasn't
we have been known
Wasn't
to share a haircut here and there, hairstyle I should say. So I'm doing a little something different these days. I know I got a hat on right now, but I'm doing a little something different. So you can
Yeah.
chill, TJ. You can chill, brother.
Shots fired.
All love, man. All
Pew, pew,
love.
pew. Well, thanks for being here. Beyond
Dude, thanks for
you know,
having me.
having a lot to talk about, it's just good to catch up and put an hour aside to hang out like this.
Yeah, most def, man.
So, where should we kick off? Should we just jump right into the question that you were asking last night? Probably, right?
Yeah, I gotta know about this Acoustasonic drama, dude.
All right. Well, not many people know this yet.
Take
But I
take
have-
take the people back. Take the people back. Let's give a little intro here. We need a little
Okay.
exposition before we
Alright.
dive into the conflict.
Okay, let's set the scene. I've been playing for the last, really this past year, primarily the close guitar. And I was playing that for a specific reason. And, I love the close because I like to travel with it. It's carbon fiber, it's durable. But really, I was playing that guitar because I wanted to get used to playing it because I was buying a mini Maton Diesel. If you know Carl Walkner,
remember that.
awesome looper.
I remember that.
He plays this guitar, and he was cool about it too. And I asked him about the guitar he plays. He gave me all the intel. He wasn't like, this is my thing. He was just very helpful. So I had this guitar
No gatekeeping.
on order, no gatekeeping. And I'm waiting for it to come in, but it's got to ship from Australia, and it took like the entire year. That's why it never made an appearance. And it went so long that I started getting to a point where the close guitar just kind of became part of the thing. And so it was less of a need towards the end. And what happened was, I think I put so much mileage on the close that I must have played that travel guitar more than maybe anybody has. Just sheer shows and hours time on it.
I'd say so.
And
I would definitely say so.
The pickup system underneath kind of like fell out and needed to have some work done. So I was in a pinch and needed another guitar, and I bought a Breedlove guitar, if you recall. So
Yeah, I
there's a
do
couple
remember
videos
that.
on my TikTok of me, beautiful guitar. I was really impressed by like little details on it. Like the binding was beautiful. I played Ovations before. I don't know about you. I hate restringing my guitar. I hate it. And the pins
likes it?
annoy me. It's the worst.
There's
It's like
always
the
blood
most
involved. There's always blood.
necessary evil. It takes too long. I got the string winder thing, and it's too fast for it's terrible. So what was cool about the Breed Love is you could string it through the bridge, which I like a lot. No pins, a lot of
Yeah,
sustain
that's
for an
great.
acoustic. My favorite thing. So there are a lot of things I liked about it, but I was a dummy and I got a 12 fret instead of a 14 fret. And I was just love playing it so much that I didn't think that much
Oh,
about it. So I got to my show and I
that'll do
started
it.
ripping a solo that I thought was in G, and I was a whole step away, and I was like, no, because I
That's
love
the
the
worst.
guitar. So here I am. I have to take it back. I take it back. I go to the guitar shop and I start thinking about what else would be the move. And the other thing is that I have Thon coming up, which I don't know of any world premiere.
Mm.
I'm playing at Penn State's
Bow, bow,
Dance
bow, bow,
Marathon
bow.
at the Bryce Jordan Center Arena. So I'm thinking like what will
Huge,
work on
huge
stage there?
event. Yeah.
15,000 people and little old me. So I was really drawn to the Acoustasonic. I played a couple player Acoustasonics that day in the store, and I think I was gravitating kind of towards the Telecaster. And I liked it a lot. The sound was great. The tones are fantastic. No complaints. I really like the optionality you have there because I like to go into a guitar solo and have a little bit of grit on it. And I don't need a ton, but when I was taking that like the humbucker on the Jazzmaster to overdrive in that store, I was like, this
Mm.
sounds sweet. And so
So
I'm like, if I'm gonna do
you
it, I'm gonna
like
go for it.
the ability to switch between you like the ability to switch between like
Yeah,
acoustic
it was
and
tough.
electric, like that's a cool feature.
I think for looping, especially where you're trying to like create dynamic layers and one layer sounding sonically different from the next, especially when you're playing the same instrument primarily, is a huge advantage for the end output of all those loops sounding distinct on the fly without being able to EQ all the time. So it was really easy to like just add character with that thing. Sometimes it was tricky to like switch it to the thing you wanted when you wanted it, but that was what I was working on. But that none of my complaints were there. If I did have a complaint about that system, it would be that there's no EQ on the guitar. So
Got it.
they will say, Fender will say, you sweep from a small body guitar like a parlor to like a dreadnought, and by doing that, you do kind of have a bit of an EQ. But like when I
Yeah.
get to the full dreadnought, I want to EQ the dreadnought. Like I don't want my ear just still goes to certain frequencies. I want the sweep, whatever. So like that was a bit limiting, especially back to that
Yeah.
layering thing. Like sometimes I'd want to like just do something with little like high pass or whatever. So that's my only nitpicky thing. But mostly the tones dug it. The problem I had was this: the guitar I got, the high E was just like a little bit quieter. Like the instant is that intonation when it's like a little bit off? I don't know if that's the word
That
for it.
could
I don't know if
be
that is actually.
intonation, or it could be just like the action of the guitar could be a little wonky, and it could just be a
Yeah,
simple setup or an adjustment that could fix that. But yeah, that's no bueno.
totally. So the thing about like that kind of detail on a brand new guitar is like it just gives you a piece of that like it's great, but and I gotta tend to this thing. So that kind of started me on this pathway. The bigger problem I had was the feel of it. It hurt my hand. Like, and I'm like, obviously
What
I'm
about
going
it?
from a small guitar to a larger one. But like when I play my Taylor, like I can shred this thing. I think it's the scale length really on that Jazzmaster is so long that I'm actually doing chords like out here.
Uh, uh,
And I was like, all right, I'll get used to it. It'll be fine. So I'm still thinking like I'm gonna stretch into it. My other complaint is the neck on the Taylor, butter. You're sliding all over the place. You're
mm-hmm.
whatever. But on the Acoustasonic, they are like gritty. It's like unfinished wood. And so you're sliding
Was it
and
a
it just doesn't feel
was it a
good.
player?
No, it was the American Jazzmaster all mahogany. Like it's the
Oh boy.
Cadillac of Acoustasonics,
Oh
except
boy.
for the trees.
That's the one I would get. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's
Because
what
I
I'm
was gonna
saying. Like
say
that's what I mean.
I have a Fender player bass. It's not on the shot right now, but I love it. I use it on everything. But yeah, it
Yeah.
does have kind of that. like unfinished vibe. The kind of the appointments
Is it
aren't
gritty?
as nice as like
Like, is
that
the
guy.
just
Hmm.
like the it's not
I
it's not a
it sounds a little bit
setup
like
thing. It's a choice. You know, it was like an actual like
yeah,
material choice to have it be that way. It
yeah.
wasn't like it wasn't set up right. It's like they wanted it to feel, and I think this is why I think they went this way. Like the headstock on an Acoustasonic has that branded like Fender, right? Do you know that? Like it doesn't say
Hmm.
Fender like you would have it on a
Yeah,
Strat. It's like a brand in. They want that woody thing. They're like
I
trying to go for
see.
like we're acoustic,
Yeah.
but I just think they went too far. It's
Oh,
like
you know what?
if you would give me
You
a Strat neck on it, I would be
happy. Chef's kiss. I feel like
oh yeah, we're
too,
on a
you got that
podcast. I guess I
mahogany
should say that.
version, right?
Hmm?
You got the mahogany version, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a totally different vibe almost. Like it's
Yeah. I mean,
all it
I
isn't it
love
all mahogany?
it's all mahogany. Yeah. But like I've
Interesting.
played, for example, the Breed Love all mahogany guitar, and the neck feel is like butter again. It's like I don't know if it's the finish on it that I just like it when it's like I don't know. What's the this is obviously treated with something. You see how shiny it is? Like the Acoustasonic,
Yeah, it's a
you would
gloss
have nothing
finish
like
on the
that. It
neck.
would just be
Yeah.
like maybe it's just the finish on it. But so like all these things were compounding basically. None of them are deal breakers, right? And I actually I recorded the last show I played at this brewery Fermata with the Acoustasonic. I think the recording's going to come out fantastic. Like I love how it sounded. But I went to San Diego for a week and I got back and there was no part of me that was like I want to play that guitar. Like it had no draw
Mm,
to it. I was like my hand's going to hurt. I don't and I'm thinking to myself that's not what this is about. Like if it's not
yeah.
pulling you and it's not all about the money, but like that's some serious dough to not be like I. And so like part of me
Yeah.
is thinking like it's just not for me. It's just not like something about it. I guess for me, truly the guitar that I want, and I know it's strange. I just love small guitars. I love the feel of them. Uh, but I have the biggest challenge is finding a quality professional small guitar because the Martins and the Taylors they're fun guitars to have. But when I'm doing like, 3 hours a night forever and ever and amen, and like that's my beast, I need it to be like so I made a decision.
Okay, tell me about
And
it.
you're hearing another world exclusive. So what I'm doing is this. I am
Nice.
Frankensteining my next guitar. And
Oh boy.
I don't know if I can share a screen. Can I share my screen? Let's find this out. Oh, maybe I can. All right. So what I'm doing is this. Okay, maybe I can't share my screen. So what I'm doing is this. I am going back to Breedlove, which I never thought would happen. And I'm buying their Mahogany Pro companion guitar, which is a 3/4 size guitar, but has the full frets and a cutaway. Cutaway, super rare for a travel guitar,
Awesome.
but that's what I need. But what I'm doing is I'm going all out. So I'm going to get Sweetwater to do the Plex system on it. You know about this?
Okay. Oh
You
yeah.
know about
Oh yeah.
plecking?
Yeah.
Gonna
It's a whole
gonna
thing,
do
man.
it. It's a whole like side of the internet, right? I'm going for it. We're gonna get bone, nut and saddle, set it up
Good
perfect.
call.
This is a fun one. Diodario auto trim tuners. Do you know about these? I didn't.
Maybe not.
You
Enlighten me.
pull it, you pull it through, you pull it through. There's a little button on the back, and when it's tight, you push the button, and then you go like this, and it cuts the string. And so you don't have to wind it. All you have to
That's
do is pull
brilliant.
it, and it
That is
stays locked in.
brilliant.
Right. So
I
pair that
love
with that
that.
bridge with no tuners, and I'm gonna restrain the guitar in 2 minutes. I'm gonna go zzz, zzz, right. So no
Amazing.
problems there. Here's the craziest part of all, Pat. I think I'm gonna go with the high vibe system in it, which I did not expect to go for. Do you know about this one?
Who who makes that? Fishman?
I think that's the name of the company is High Vibe. I don't know really much about them, but it's kind of like a professional version of what's that amp that goes
It's
on
a
the back of
pickup.
your acoustic? It's a
Yeah, I know what you're talking
pickup
about.
system for
Tone
right.
something. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. High
Tonewood.
vibe.
Yeah, it's like a professional grade
The tone wood. Yep.
Tonewood. And the High Vibe is like built into the guitar. So you can do all onboard effects. You can loop from it. You can do reverb from it. It'll project from the guitar. But also, this is the craziest thing of all. This is what sold me. That's it. Yeah, thank you. So this is what sold me
Sick.
on it. You you can get a pedal for it that's wireless Bluetooth MIDI that is actually activating the guitar's loop. So picture
Wild.
this. I come to LA in March. I literally bring just my guitar. I'm going to get a new amp with me, very small, all wireless, no loop pedal, no effects pedals. Take out on the streets of LA, see what happens. Walk into a bar, can
Amazing.
I play? Cool. Do it. Never have to worry about all the gear. Never have to worry about do I have to play for 3 hours? No, no, no. New rules, Pat. 2023. What say you? You in?
That
Cosign?
sounds that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. I want one. Have them prototype this, and then you should just talk to Breedlove and be like, "Hey, let's make the Josh Jam signature. Let's make it happen."
I think so. Or I want to know if Sweetwater can just be like, this was the order Josh had. It's this much money. You could buy. Does anyone do that? Like my modifications
Like
are
a
a
Amazon
entire
cart
kit.
for Sweetwater. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Then you could have the Patrick Breen
they should
signature
be able to do
guitar
that.
made out of
Wouldn't
whatever
that be
you want.
lovely?
I'm thinking there's a move there to be made. If my Christian, my Sweetwater sales engineer, get on it. He's on it. Don't worry.
Let's make
Okay,
it
so
happen.
Pat, I'm gonna still call you Pat. I hope that's okay. Patrick,
That's okay. We go
um,
way back.
we do go way back to State College, Pennsylvania, um,
Woo woo.
which is also how we know teach. That's the Trinity here. So
The
at some
Holy
point,
Trinity.
when we all this is the challenge that we have when we all reach this mass level of internet fandom where I think it's like what we have 1 million YouTube subscribers each. When we all hit that like threshold, it could be years from now.
Getting
I mean,
there.
you're gonna get there if you're not there already. But when we catch up to you, that's when we form the super group and we do like a little Crosby, Stills, Nash,
Mm,
little folky thing. We head out on the road. Speaking
let's
of,
do
did you
it.
hear about the new John Mayer tour?
I did hear
Are
about
you?
it.
Yeah.
You gonna go?
What's your reaction? Well, I want to hear the Patrick Breen exclusive. What was your thoughts on it? It's a
Dude, any John Mayer show is a good time. I mean, I don't think I recall him doing like something live since that Where the Light Is show that he did in LA at the Staples Center.
you mean
So
like solo like that?
I'm yeah, remember
Yeah,
he did like an acoustic set and then a set with his trio and then he did a
so
set with
sick.
his whole Continuum band. It was such a great concert,
Yeah,
man. Um
I I
I
heard
just
that,
saw him when he
and
was
maybe he
out
was
here
here.
last year obviously and he
Oh
he was
yeah, well,
amazing. He was so amazing.
so you saw him on the Sob Rock tour,
Yeah.
right? Would that be where? Or wait, no, you also
I
saw him recently.
yeah,
Like he came out on stage
I
as a
go see
guest.
him
You're so spoiled in
anytime
LA, man.
he's playing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
So,
great. Well,
he's
there's a
amazing,
couple
man.
stops on that tour. I think the drummer got sick, or maybe like the drummer was out for a couple shows, and so he did like a stripped down version. And I think I'm curious if those shows stripped down made him go next iteration. Let me just do this, or I mean, Ed Sheeran's got his loop set up, but he was really doing the solo stadium tour thing for a while. Why wouldn't
Wild.
you at least give that a shot at that level? I guess
My
did Springsteen
only
ever do
my
that
only
for
regret, man.
Nebraska? What's
Oh,
that?
who know? I wouldn't know. My only regret is that he's still going to do big venues because A, he can, B, he should, C, that's where the money is. But man, I would
Yeah.
love he pops up around LA. Um
Mm.
I was uh, I was with a group of people one day, and one of the people there was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go see this concert tonight." Rumor is because it was one of his openers on the tour. Her name is Lizzie something. I apologize that I can't recall her full name. But this artist was playing at the Troubadour here in LA. And people were like, "Oh, she works with John Mayer, like, maybe he's going to show up." And sure enough, he just shows up at the Troubadour and starts playing. And it's like
That's so sick.
Troubadour is obviously a classic LA staple, right? Everybody's gone through the Troubadour. And it's right around the corner from my apartment. Like I could walk there. Um, and I'm just like, oh, I should have gone to that show. But that's kind of how I want to see John Mayer. There was one time
Yeah.
when I was living in New York with my wife, she was trying to get Jimmy Fallon tickets for like, I don't know, 10 months, 12 months, 18 months. And finally, she calls me one day. She was at work. And she was like, I got Jimmy Fallon tickets. I was like, I'm so excited. When are they? She's like, tonight. Uh, they don't announce the musical guest until like, I don't know, that afternoon. So we find out we're
Wow.
going. Then we find out that John Mayer is going to be the musical guest. Then we get
Oh my
there.
God.
We're literally sat in the second row. I'm like, am I going to be
Yeah.
okay here?
Did you did you think you died actually for a second? Were you like, maybe I died? Maybe a car hit me.
It was it was wild, man, because I think anybody under the age of 40 has grown up with John Mayer tunes, and like being a guitar player,
For
like
sure.
he's one of my heroes, obviously. Um, and just to be that close to somebody that kind of so intimately through their music, man, it was surreal. It was
Yeah.
really cool. It was the
When you get that
you
close
can
to
watch a
someone that
performance on
has,
YouTube.
I'll have to check it out. I want to do some research on that one. But I was going to ask you, when you get that close
Yeah.
to someone that has that kind of effect on you, what are you feeling as a musician? Are you like, I gotta go home and play right now? Are you like in awe? Are you paralyzed by it, or are you inspired by it? What was your like immediate feelings? Like, okay, you're walking out of that place just having an experience that you did not expect to have that morning. Where are you at mentally after you see this performance?
It was wild, man. It hit me so fast. I want to be masculine and tell you that I didn't like shed tears, but like tears were shed. I was like,
Don't
"Oh my
don't be
gosh,
mad. This is the Josh Jam podcast.
this is this is one of the reasons why I play this instrument that I love so much. This was one of the first
Yeah,
artists that I like really connected with on a level that like mom and dad didn't introduce me to this, or like somebody at
yeah,
school didn't introduce me to this. This was just like something that I heard, something that I liked. And yeah, dude, it's so I mean, if you are lucky enough to get up close like that to uh, an artist that you really admire, I encourage it so much. Going back to talking about his tour, that's like my only regret for this tour. Like, I wish people could experience what I got to experience. Like, put him in
yeah,
a small 2,000 person venue, even. Like, I would love to see a big
yeah.
artist do a tour like that, and it just doesn't happen anymore.
Well, I'll tell you,
Just because I don't think it's
I
economical.
remember I remember like, so timing wise, when John Mayer first came out and no such thing was out, and like the era of that was like, God, it must have been like late 90s, early 2000s ish, I'd imagine. And so like, and it's, or at least not that far after, and the sonic palette is like harsh. uh you're coming out of like post grunge, uh like Hoobastank is what we're talking about in terms of like Sonic. And that's not a knock on Hoobastank. It's just like literally like the mixing back then was like super compressed and like and then all of a sudden this like alternative, and I don't mean like alternative in music, I mean like just an alternative in like approach comes out. And it was kind of like the first wave of post Dave Matthews musicians in a way that was like influenced by Dave Matthews. And I would put in that category Jason Mraz came out around the same time. This is like right around Jack Johnson. So all of a sudden you had
Yeah,
these
a lot of
options and like these guys,
acoustic
Jack,
male
Jason,
guitarists.
John, totally. And so like for me, that was like, it was a great also segue for me in my learning too, to go from the Dave Matthews world into some of that stuff, or like just to sort of expand to like, oh, there's different ways you can do this. And then what changed everything is I think the pathway that John Mayer went on and took us on, which was like, you know, that's an adventure unto itself, to go from that to
Yeah.
like continuum. Like no one saw that coming. No one saw that
Wild.
after it's definitely
It's so
the
it's
for me
so
that's going
funny
to be the one
because
he's chasing.
I was at that age when he was kind of coming out where like that vibe I so rejected, right? Like the,
Oh
handsome
really?
dude with the acoustic guitar. I mean, it was everything that I wasn't is like an adolescent, right? Like I was just like
Oh yeah,
this
okay, you're
awkward,
ugly
chubby
duckling.
kid. And I was like, yo, screw this guy playing guitar. I secretly loved music, but like didn't do a whole lot with
Yeah.
it as
Well,
as a kid.
what were you listening to? What were you having on the radio at that point, if when you're not doing that? Are we talking like, oh wait, you I know. You were back in like the Jet days. You're like, you want rock.
Oh yeah. I liked rock and roll. I liked hardcore stuff. But that's how kind of John Mayer won me over was with uh the Try record, where it was just him and a trio and he
Yeah.
was playing like these, this
Steve
freaking
Jordan, Pete
awesome
Palladino.
electric guitar. And I was like, oh, this guy is a serious dude. This is a serious player
Yeah.
here. And I was like, okay, I'm down with. But now I just
Yeah.
love it all.
I mean,
I love it all.
well, I remember when Who Do You Think I Was came out, and that was definitely like a moment of
That was a
it
good
really
record,
like
man.
it burst down the doors, like I'd say the 1-2 punch for me of that record was Who Do You Think I Was. Then you go to the live album and you hear him do like I Got a Woman by Ray Charles at the
Mm,
same time that
yeah,
Kanye comes out with Gold Digger, and it was just like perfectly boom boom. And
yeah,
even like that's a good example of like the fun part of being a John Mayer fan is like he's it's very meta. He's self at this point, he's self-aware. I mean, Sob Rock's a perfect example of that. But even back then, to play that song by Ray Charles at that moment was not a coincidence with Kanye having that single out. So like
yeah,
it's just I appreciate those moves, especially when I'm like the little winks and the little nods.
yeah. He's dope like that for sure.
So for you, I mean, I'm assuming that people that see us, especially on YouTube, will probably have already seen a video from you before, and your YouTube channel is sick,
That'd be cool.
obviously. Uh,
Thanks, bro.
Tips,
Appreciate it.
tutorials, pretty much there's things there for almost any musician at this point. I'm a guitarist. I
Appreciate
still
that.
think of you as a guitarist, but you've expanded so much now that I feel like even your songwriting content's really sick too for people that are trying to figure out how to get
Thanks,
through
man.
blocks. I would love to know, even just as your friend, like take it back for me. What was your first video on YouTube that you put out that popped to the standard where you were like, oh my god, like 5,000 views? Like, what was that first one, and then what was the one that like really went off? Take me through that transition, because it's been a ton of
So
work, man. I can only imagine the hours you put into this.
yeah, man, it's so funny. So okay, what people will tell you about YouTube is that like Mr. Beast's advice, which if you're not familiar, he's the biggest YouTuber. He makes a ton of money. He does a ton of great videos. He's mega, 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 mega successful. Um, really, really cool guy too. And haven't met him, you just tell. Anyway, what he always says is because his experience was he made videos for years and they did nothing and they went nowhere. And his advice to people is always make 100 videos. They're not going to do anything. And then, each time you make a video, get a little bit better, right? But the moral of the story is you just got to get content out there because it's not going to do anything for a little while. That's just kind of how YouTube works. Um, when I started my YouTube channel, uh, I had gotten a little bit of an online following on Instagram, and it was really
Right?
cool because
Yeah.
from what I had seen, kind of the only way as a musician at that time, we're talking 2015, 2016. Uh, the only way to really kind of get a following back then as a musician was to like do covers or like just drive home your original content and really like, hey, no shade, my brother, no shade. Um, but for me,
I don't.
my
It's
whole
all
thing
good.
was I I like to make my own stuff. That's just the way that I've always been,
Yeah.
and I was trying to
Oh,
figure
for
out
sure.
my way in. You know what I mean? So I just started kind of uploading some stuff to Instagram, and I was like, this is cool. And I was networking with a lot of people and meeting a lot of people, and those were materializing in like real life meetups and hangs in New York where I was living at the time. So that was super dope, and I really liked that. So I made this video. It's still live. You can go watch it. And it's a super. The heart in the video is there, but it's just like all over the place. It's pretty unedited. I'm not really great at talking to the camera yet. I'm like kind of playing a character. It was just like a bad video, I
Yeah.
guess. Um,
We're talking
and I
like a
put it
vlog
out, and I
style?
tried to
Like, were you
drive
like
kind of. I had this concept for a show that was like I was going to take uh, all of these people that I was meeting through Instagram, and I was going to get together with them and do kind of like a New York City meetup jam kind of a show. And I wanted to do that,
that's
and I
cool.
put it out. And what was what was what was less hurtful what was less hurtful is that YouTube didn't really push it out. I kind of expected that. What was more disappointing for me was that that was like one of the first times I realized it's very hard to get people who follow you on one platform to come follow you to
To
another
go.
platform, right?
Yeah.
So I sat on YouTube for a few months and like kind of didn't do anything. Um, and what I
Wait,
started to learn
real quick.
was about
So at this point, you are how many followers on Instagram? 50, 40, 20? Where are you at?
no right. Did I lose you?
Yeah, you did for a second.
Are we
It
back?
says your internet. It says your internet signal is really low. Oh,
Hmm.
maybe it's back now. It just went all the way to green from red. Maybe it reset,
How is it
and that's why it
now?
kicked you off. It's way better.
Cool. Awesome. We're back.
Okay. I was just asking how many Instagram followers at this time.
I'm somewhere like more than 45, but somewhere in that like mid 40s range.
Okay, so that I mean, I think on Instagram right now I have like 1,500 followers, and I cannot crack that code. Still today, that amount is to me ginormous. I know there's people that have millions of followers, but like also should be said, you built that with your own two hands, like out of nowhere. Like you went from state college, you built it. So like that's a whole different level. But you're now this guy, and you have kind of like you know, people are saying he's doing something, right? The signal's up. Your secrets are getting out a little bit, right? And I know that feeling. And then you say, okay, I'm going to pivot into this lane, not pivot, but I'm going to go for both. And then the first reaction is like, it didn't really do what you wanted to. That's a tough. So in that moment, were you like, oh, screw this, I'm not going to do YouTube, just expecting, even if you knew that you know the Mr. Beast model, was it hard to wrestle with that, being like, well, over here I can post a photo and I'm getting 3,000 likes, and now
Yeah.
where are they all?
Yeah. My what I quickly realized about something like YouTube is it's owned by Google. And YouTube is the second it was, I don't know if it still is. I'm sure it still is. YouTube, I believe, is the second largest search engine on the internet. The first is Google. Google feeds into YouTube. If you Google
Oh yeah.
anything, if you Google anything, they suggest videos. Where are those videos? Vimeo? I don't think so. TikTok? No. They're on YouTube. So I just started to think about it like that, and there were kind of three things that were happening. That was one realization. I had just done kind of like my first branded content thing, like shortly there. Shout out to Jamstick. They make awesome stuff now. Back in the day, they were this young company that was making like this tiny little 5 fret MIDI guitar. Um, and they've blossomed into like one of my favorite pieces of equipment. I digress. Point
Yeah.
is, I had just done something with them, and I was also getting like a lot of DMs on Instagram from people who were asking me how to do what I do. What equipment are you using? How do you get this sound? And I was like, you know what's a lot easier than responding to all of these DMs is just sending them to a video that
Hmm.
exists. And oh, I can monetize this in a bunch of different ways. Okay, cool. Let me try that. So what started out, so keep in mind I've only posted like one video.
Yeah.
I had some older videos that were like repurposed Instagram videos. But the second video I posted was a video that was in response to a bunch of questions, which was, what MIDI keyboard do I buy? Keep in mind, not the sexiest topic out there. I like beautiful, fancy guitars. I
Yeah.
like synthesizers. I like drum machines. MIDI keyboards are kind of just like a
A
thing,
device.
right? Yeah, it's nothing. cr- It, it's nothing that's going to get me crazy excited to make music. What the MIDI keyboard is controlling might,
Right.
but I digress. So I make this video, and it does really well. It did, I think, like 100,000 views in 6 months, which for nobody on YouTube, that's a significant thing.
So you're
So that was really
you're
what got me to take the platform
it's like
seriously.
steady bringing views at this point. Are you doing videos while it's keeping views? Or are you just like, oh, this one video is doing a thing?
That was the video that got me to say, "Oh, okay, I can now see what's possible with
Yeah.
any video that I
Right.
create. Let me take this seriously."
Yeah.
So for a while there, it was like, here's what I'll tell you about YouTube and kind of social media in general. You've got to try a bunch of different stuff. You've got to just try it. And you have to be patient with the process that is uh okay, like I don't just want to make videos about MIDI keyboards. So like let me find some other stuff to make videos on. I made a bunch of different stuff. I did like you said, I've done songwriting
Yeah.
videos, which I kind of like to do those every time I put a project out so that I can tell people about like the process and what honestly a lot of it is like, hey, this is something that I tried in this process and like I think it was helpful for me, so maybe it'll be helpful for you. Um and some of it is like now where I'm kind of going is like, let me, if people are interested in gear talk from me, I'm going to do something creative with it. I'm not just going to give you the static, like, this is what this piece of gear does.
Yeah.
You got to do a little bit of that, but
Your
I want to
personality.
be the guy that people go to say, hey, let me check out this new synthesizer. I'm making a lot of videos with like this new Arturia synthesizer that just came
Yeah.
out, and I love it. So it's genuine. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but I'm going to make music with it.
Yeah.
And you're going to check that out too, because I want to show you what
I love that.
me as a producer and an artist is going to do with this, not just like regurgitate something that you could just read in the manual for yourself, which no disrespect to those kinds of channels. They're important. That's where I go to learn about this stuff. But yeah, I kind of want to do
Yeah.
something a little bit different, a little more creative, something that's like stimulating for me. Um, and that's kind of the vision. Like, just let me talk about the things, let me talk about the topics and the things that I'm learning and the gear that I'm using and show that for
Yeah.
people.
I mean, I feel like I am lucky because, well, I'm your friend, right? And we've had so many conversations about gear. That's why
This
we
is
had to
true.
jump right into the Acoustasonic discussion.
Yeah.
And the thing about
Yeah, I had to
a
know.
Patrick Breen musical advice is that it comes through so genuinely. You're so thoughtful about all the ways that I might use the thing, and also not just that, but also kind of calibrating by like my style of musician or artist, because there is the capabilities,
Appreciate
and this is
that.
what I learned in gear hunting. There's the capabilities of it, and there's the ease and fun factor of it. And sometimes you got to give some to get some. And you got to really examine, well, what am I going to use this for,
Mm-hmm.
and what's going to make me have the most fun. So the fact that you consider those things as part of your approach to review is so helpful. And I think I also agree there are those YouTube channels where
Mm-hmm.
people are kind of like, hey, this user manual does not make any sense. Let's get into how I can, program the thing specifically to do a specific thing. For me, going to your channel is like, I'm going over to Pat's house.
Yeah,
I'm sitting down on the couch. He's going to pour me a nice hot tea. He's going to show me what he's got recently and give me the reasoning behind how he feels about it.
that's dope.
And after I'm done with that and I
I
learn
love
something,
that.
now I get to actually hear him see what his creative vision was for that thing. And that's awesome for, a fan of yours, because if you're a Josh Jams fan, pretty soon, if this guitar works out, hopefully, fingers crossed, you're gonna see me playing through that thing a lot. But for a fan of Patrick Breen, I
Yeah,
get to see how your artist translates to all kinds of things, like freaking the jam stick, right? And I think that's what's so cool about following
yeah.
you is like I'm not just following for the learning of
Thanks,
the
man.
instrument, but I'm learning how you are evolving as a result of these inputs, which you are fed with so many creative inputs. And then the output is obviously something everyone likes to watch.
I appreciate that, man. That was so nice, man. Um, yeah, I think, dude, at the end of the day, like, you start doing this social media thing for a little while and you realize really quickly this is how companies are getting in front of people now. It's a major, major, major leg of the advertising world.
For
And,
sure.
it's all, I mean, it's like anything else, man, in this world. It's all about relationship building and finding the companies and the people that you want to associate yourself with. Um, and then from there, man, it's like, I mean, there's so much stuff that gets, I'm sure you're getting this too with how insanely well your TikTok is doing. Like companies reach out and they, it's like it becomes a daily thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, okay, what about this? What about this? What about this? Um, but you start to like, right now, I'm in kind of like a nice position of being, 5, 6 years seriously into like social media content. And it's like, okay, cool. Like I have the kind of like my little inner circle of the brands that I associate with on a regular basis. And um, some of those have even turned into like artist endorsements. Um, you know, D'Angelico over here. I'm an artist. I'm one of their artists. Arturia, Mono, which is like so surreal for me. Like just like some of these companies that I've looked up to, but like that's what's possible. And what's really cool about it is if you are wired this way, which I am, it presents itself. It presents the opportunity to like Arturia, right? They rely on me for like MIDI keyboard stuff, and they're like, "Hey, we got a new keyboard out. Can we send it to you?" So this fall, when they dropped this synth, I wasn't one of the people who got early access to it, but when it dropped, I hit them up and I was like, "Yo, that looks right up my alley. It looks
Yeah.
very much like the kind of music that I'm making right now. Will you send me one?" And they, they're because I have that relationship with them, it was like it's such a privileged and blessed position to be in, but like you can build that. And the point is you get access to things that expand your creative mind and it expands you know
Yeah.
all of these things, synths, guitar amps, guitars, that synth, that drum machine, they're all they're all ways to express yourself. I remember, you know, back when we were in school, for example, I was so adamant about everything being analog. I was so adamant about everything being like
Yeah.
the way my heroes made
Pure.
records, right? And I
Yeah.
kind of like turned my nose up at hip hop and stuff like that, which is so funny because I loved it so much as a kid. But when I got to making music, oh, they're just like a record. They're just doing this and doing that. And now that I've like actually learned about what goes into that process,
Yeah.
it is one of the most creative and expressive forms of making music. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
In especially what's
And
cool about
listening to
it, and I'm
music.
going off on a tangent, but I'll finish it right here.
Please.
Exactly, but you can if you can play an instrument, You can throw it into any sort of sampler now. You can play a little guitar part or a keys part or a synth part or whatever. You throw that into a sampler, you chop it up, and you start playing it in a new way through drum pads and stuff like that. And it's like, it's so expressive, man. So you up and it's like a whole new thing. It gives it a whole new life. And it's just like, that's a very long-winded way to say, like, I'm a gear person.
Yeah,
I think it's fun. I think it's cool. But at the end of the day, music, creativity, social media, it's all about exploring things that you're passionate
right.
about. And I think if you can put that as your focus and chase that thing rather than numbers and followers and blah blah blah
Totally
blah
agree.
blah, like
Yeah. I mean,
it's it's the way to go.
I think that's kind of what drew me to this high vibe system. Is I was watching this video that I'll send to you. This guy, I think his name is Justin Johnson, jamming on it in another guitar, and the quality was there. Where I was like, "Oh, this sounds fantastic," and he's a fantastic guitar player. And he said something that really caught my attention. He's like, "I I didn't expect this, but like when I started songwriting with this, it became a really valuable tool because immediately I was playing things with reverb on it in a room where normally I wouldn't have that access to that unless I plugged in and did all this
Oh
stuff.
wow.
So like in real time,
That's
you're
cool.
songwriting with the palette of the effects, which is kind of more, I guess, like how an electric guitar player would do it, but as an acoustic guitar player to have that with you. So I'm like, yeah, that really is what should be drawing you is what's going to inspire you, what's going to give you like for example, with your videos having your own creative slant to it, you're able to sustain what you're doing longer because you enjoy it. But
That's
but that
exactly right.
threshold, if people aren't aware of where they're at in that threshold, they can they can find themselves being burnt out, frustrated, you know,
Yeah.
and it's easy to be that. I mean, it's the norm. Like that's where the pool is to be is like feel cold and frustrated because if you're doing it for someone else, then you're just chasing things. But if you're doing it because you love it and you're like,
That's
you know
so
what?
true,
I
man.
don't care if people don't like this, that's fine. Not everyone will like me. That's fine too. But I'm not going to stop being me as a result of that. And so like that's where if you
Yeah.
approach it that way, I feel like it's coming from a place of you use a good example. You are this exact way in person. Like this is who you are. It's not a character.
Appreciate it.
It's so like I think that
Yeah.
comes through too when you're making content. People trust you because of that, and they can sniff out the BS. Um, so, anyways, I think it's pretty cool to see the evolution, and also, you know, for a friend of yours to see you like 4 or 5 years in now and in LA. And speaking of LA, I'm coming to LA. I'll be there March 7th through 11th. And now, if this new setup comes through, I'm just going to pick a venue and show up. So just stay tuned. But
That's
we should
dope.
figure out something to
I'll
do.
be there.
I don't know where I'll be staying
I'll be
yet,
there.
but we got to find a way to jam together, just like the old days.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
So
Oh my god, yeah.
people don't know this, but we played together for a period of time, a short period of time.
We did,
Same
man.
same
That was
band.
fun, man.
You were cooking up
That
something
was
big.
I was, dude. I think that was right when I was starting to do kind of I was starting to kind of break away from my college band and do my own thing, which just kind of the way all those circumstances unfolded, like it took me a while to gain the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, man, I still have recordings of us. Remember Blake who played keys with me,
Yes.
and he had access to that
I remember
church,
playing at the
and we would just
church.
rehearse there.
Yeah.
Dude, that was so much
That
fun. I
church,
still have a lot of those. A lot of those demos. I'll have to send them to you
I
later.
didn't
Just
realize there
like
was
sitting on my hard
a
drive.
recording of that at all. But
Yeah, because he used to record all the rehearsals.
I think I was only there for one church session, if I recall correctly. But that church was sick. It had a big stage, it's wide open
Big
auditorium.
stage.
No one's there.
Sounded
And you're
beautiful.
practicing like you're on stage. Like you're practicing like it's a big show, which is sick. That was
Yeah.
great, man.
So dope.
It was funny because
It was fun, man. Those were
I,
Go ahead.
this is the hard part about these podcasts is it's going to happen. So apologies, but I was going to say I was in a similar place at that time college, post college band, but still was my college band coming out of it, searching for the next thing. So we kind of had this moment in time, which has been fun because now we get to touch base at these different points in our lives and create
Yeah, man.
this year, especially. I never thought we'd be in this position right now, but yeah, I do recall from those days. Number one, you had a Vox amp, if I remember correctly, right?
Still have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was just like,
I still
this
have
guy
it.
is on some other stuff. I'll say this about you and Tej. When you guys songwrite, uh, maybe maybe it's just a more reflection of me, but I feel like you both approach it from such an interesting angle that I would never think. Like, you guys both go in the side door to a song, and you're like, oh wait, I'm here.
That's hilarious. I've never thought about it that way, but I'll take it, man.
Yeah,
I'll
like
take
even
it.
with your song, like the lyrics. I remember back in the day, the songs you'd write, I'd be like, oh, this is like, I still feel like I know how to play it, but I don't remember the name of this song.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's probably in one of the demos, man. I'll have
You
to send
have
it
to.
to
I
you.
want your original demo with the trumpets. This is.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
You taught me how to
That was
play the
man.
chord.
That was like,
I think this is out too.
oh yeah, like the with. I know what you're talking about.
I'd fall. I'd stumble all the way from my to your door. Because wherever you
That,
are,
yo,
whatever you're up to,
that was the
dude,
jam, dog.
that to me sounded like, and I know this is not your style now. Everything I loved about the band OAR. No one would expect this song
Yo,
from
I'll
you.
take it.
And I mean like OAR,
They threw down.
not OAR Shatter, OAR Heyday, when it was like, who's this other band? And they'll play like City on Down OAR. That's what I'm talking about. The good
Right
stuff.
on.
And
The good
I
stuff,
think I heard
man.
that song before we really connected. And then I was like, oh, this is legit. Like, this is it. Like, this sounds that good. That I was like, what? And was there one night where we went out in
Appreciate
State
that.
College and like went around and saw some bands? Am I making this up in my head? No, we
No, we definitely did. That was an interesting period of time because we were both kind of hanging out in State
yeah,
College,
the
like
post,
post
yeah,
school,
the overlap
um,
there.
which is a dope thing to do. Like especially in State College, that's like the place to do
But you
it.
have to be careful.
One of the few.
It will keep you.
Oh yeah,
It
it
will
will.
keep you. And it's not that it's not a great place to stay, but you should definitely get out and then come back to it if that's what you're going to do.
Bro, I have never known why Ted McCloskey isn't a
Mm.
national touring act. Honestly, he's probably just
Just chill. He's
he's
got his
got a good
thing.
thing going.
Yeah.
He's got a good thing
And
going, man.
he's in paradise. I mean, Happy Valley is gorgeous. Like, you could do
I love it.
yeah, you're right. I mean, I was looking up some bands that played at Thon last year to get a lay of the land of what I'm up against. And every year I play Thon, mark my words, there will be, if there is an article, which I don't know there will be, but it'll be like, Josh Jams played some mellow tunes. Every year, Onward State calls me mellow with Table 10. And honestly, maybe they were right, but I was trying to bring the heat every time. So I
Yeah.
look at the reviews from last year.
Table 10 threw down,
That's what
dude.
I'm
Table
saying,
10
dog.
threw down.
Thank you. People don't know that. We weren't mellow. It's the last thing I was. Anyways, you see acoustic guitar, you call it mellow. I get it. But great reviews last year on Ted McCloskey is what I was reading. And I was like, go Ted.
Bro.
Well, I mean, of course, but
Another
also go
another one
Ted.
of my guitar heroes.
Yeah.
This back in the day when you could actually get into a bar with a fake ID. I had a fake ID and I would go down to the First and I was like too scared to like drink a lot because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. So I'd go down there, I would chill, I would sit at one of the little tables in the corner.
The
This was back
best.
long before the renovations. Sit at one of the little tables in the corner and just watch Ted. I was sitting at the table in the corner because
Yeah.
that was right next
Right on
to
the side.
right next
Side
to him.
stage.
I was right by his amp so I could hear him.
Yeah.
And then I had a perfect view of his pedal board. I was like, oh, okay. And I would like, I think he like a Voodoo Labs Sparkle Drive he had. So I bought that. And then he had, what
Oh, it
else
was
did
like
he
a
have
cheat
that I
sheet.
bought? Yeah, dude.
Because his
I didn't know
tone,
anything.
his tone was killer.
He's got, he had a different guitar every night, but he's always playing through that vintage Fender Super Reverb. And I was like, oh, okay, let me get one of those. And I like, oh my gosh, I can't afford that. So like, okay, whatever, I'll find something else. But yo, I learned so much just by watching him, dude. he may remember me, but like wouldn't know me by name. But
Yeah.
man, someday I'll see that dude and
Thank
be
him.
like, hey man, I'm a musician in LA. I produce. I've got like a growing career, and I just want to say thanks.
Yeah.
I learned so much from watching you, dude.
For me, the band back then was Lemon Soul. Do you remember Lemon Soul?
They were great.
Lemon
They were
Soul.
great, but they were like our age, dude.
They were
Right? Weren't they?
maybe a couple, maybe a year or two older. I mean, I'm older than you are, but maybe a year or two older than me. Because I remember or maybe I just stayed at State College longer, and they left. But it always
Could
seemed
be.
like they were older than me. And I just remember they didn't have expensive equipment. Like the lead singer played like an Ibanez Art Core guitar. No shade, no shade, no shade. But
I remember them. It was he had like it was just
it
like
was
the
like
outline of a guitar,
it was
right?
like a red with the F holes, and it was like a thin guitar. But I just remember they would just kill it, and the grooves were so
They
sick.
were awesome.
And what they would do
Yeah.
Iron Lion Zion by Bob Marley, which is just like you just don't see that one
A
coming.
vibe.
Yeah, like you
A
through the side
vibe.
door and I I love that song. And
So
I just
good.
remember watching them and being like, and their band name was so good. Lemon Soul might be one of the best band names I've ever heard.
So fitting.
Yeah.
So fitting.
So that was a big one.
Yeah, their sax player was
That's it.
really good, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he'd be like,
He was like a baby faced assassin too.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he definitely was getting carded at the front door.
totally. So that was one. Uh, who else can we talk about?
Here's a question for
Yeah,
you.
please.
Here's a question for you. Okay, I think we would both agree the first is number one in our hearts, right?
Oh no, man.
Okay, fair. Okay, what was your favorite place to play?
Well, so it's interesting because the first was it's not I'm not taking away anything away from it. It's probably a toss up between the first and the Skeller for me because at the height of Table 10, we're doing Skeller Saturday nights and we already had a young crowd and then the alumni would come on top of it and it would just be
Fair,
bonkers and it got
fair.
so crazy back there. And now I play at Doggies, which is a good time, but they keep the lights on in the back and it's like where's the vibe at? Like
Where's the
turn
vibe,
the lights
bro?
off, but the courtyard outside is sick. So go ahead. Yes, the first is obviously Table 10 was named after the first. So it is near and dear to my heart. It's close.
Yeah, yeah. Cafe was cool. I only played there a couple times, but Cafe was cool.
Cafe was
It's a
cool.
little bit of different energy, though, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not like a Skeller or a First kind of
something
energy.
it's just a little classier than those two. It's a little like on the outskirts of town kind of vibe. Like you got for a Penn State, you got to
Yeah,
walk there. Now, the accoutrement, great, awesome stage. Kind of tight,
yeah,
kind of tight.
yeah.
But great stage. The challenges of musician there was always like, you got to get them in that back room with you. So if it's not a poppin' night, you know. But one time I got
Yeah,
to
that's
play
true.
there. We opened up for Rusted Root at Cafe. That was pretty crazy. Yeah, that was a
Dope,
good show.
dope.
And we came out and did like even more of an acoustic thing that night, like a stripped down djembe acoustic thing, to make room on stage with them. But that was a sick night. And seeing Rusted Root at Cafe 210 is like, that's not fair. Like that band there is like, it's not. It's like the roof was blown off the place. The other thing that happened at
That's
Cafe
amazing.
is we were sitting outside one night and a girl walked in to like the outdoor area. I shouldn't walked in, but like walked in like to like where you were like about to come out. And I'm like, how do I know her? Like, do I have class with her? And it wasn't even anything like, who's that girl? It was just like, do I know her? Like that kind of vibe, right? And it was Colby Calais. She walked in.
That's
And then she
dope.
got on stage.
She have a show or
I
something
think she had a show maybe like at the Hub or
at the
something.
BJC or something
I don't
or
know.
the
It
Hub?
was something more like, or like the State Theater maybe kind of vibe. And
Yeah, cool.
she played that. She
That's
got on
dope.
stage. They turned all the sound system
And
on
just played.
and crushed it. And
That's
crushed.
amazing.
So like
It's amazing.
there's something about State College that kind of magic can happen in that town. Like
It's magic, dude. Like it's one of the few places that still has live music like that. You know what I mean? it is very much like walking in downtown State College is very much like walking down Broadway in Nashville,
Yeah.
where it's just like almost every bar has live music. There's places where you can go and listen to a DJ for sure, but man, that's unique in that way.
Now the challenge is though cover songs everywhere, and you
True.
were obviously an original guy. Table 10
Yeah, but I
was
played
trying
I
to
played
be.
covers.
I remember when your band came on stage at the first time I saw you guys. I remember this night because this is probably like either right before or right after we went on tour summer at the beach and came back.
I
I
remember
don't know if
that,
that was
yeah.
before or after I first. It probably was. I don't know, but I know that I remember that night because was your drummer's name Eric?
That was my drummer in college's name. The guy that I played with in these days was a guy named Matt Harrison, who's a
Yeah,
State College local. Last I knew, he was in Philly. He's like a doctor now or something.
I'm
But
talking about your
man,
college
that
band.
dude can
Then
play.
this is I'm out
Oh,
of college. You guys
yeah,
played at the first with Eric on drums,
yeah, 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 yeah,
and I remember you. I never forget you guys played "Take Your Mama Out," that song. Take the butter.
yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
this song,
Scissor Sisters.
yeah, this song rules. First of all, never would have thought to
Yeah,
have
that's
played it,
dope.
and you guys bounced it like it was. I was like, oh, because we didn't have a drum set at this point or anything like that at all, and so the
True,
sound
true.
was there like 4 or 5 of you guys
It all depend.
rotate.
It all depended. Like the guys who were local, it was really three of us who were local. There was we had a sax player, but he moved back to Philly, so he would like come in for shows. We had another guitar player who like was kind of in and out of the band,
Yeah,
and then I think our senior year we added this kid Alex Bruce, who I love. He's awesome. To play some keys.
yeah,
He was
it's
dope.
so funny.
He Alex Bruce played with me and my sax player when I kind of went off and did my own
Oh,
solo thing.
so that was the same sax player that was doing this song that we talked about too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so sick, man. Like that's the cool thing
Kyle
is like
Snyder, one of my best friends, man.
you have a scene there, and like it wasn't Nashville, it wasn't Austin, but I could see where how like a Ted McCloskey would be like, why should I go to Nashville when I'm the guy here, and I have my own
Yeah.
music town, and I can pretty much play wherever I want.
No, he is the guy, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
And then we have to close the loop. Why can't I think of the name of the band right now? With Dan on fiddle.
No, oh, not
No,
Velveeta.
I
Oh
should
my
know this
god.
name. It's just not kidding me right now.
I can picture them. He's
He's
awesome.
the man. He's the man. And that was what? Oh God, what was the? Why can't I think of the name of that band? Low
LoJack.
Jack. Yeah, like it's not like it shouldn't have been that far removed.
LoJack is dope.
I saw
LoJack is dope.
Low Jack a couple. I don't know. Now it's been probably like 4 years, but not that long ago. And it
Mm,
was at the first. I was there filming some Spare Change stuff, and Low Jack with Dan played "Dark Necessities" by Red Hot Chili Peppers, and
dope.
crushed it. And it was just like,
That's dope.
yeah, there was a moment
He's
where
amazing.
I don't know if you know this, but we recruited Dan and Jason O to be in Table 10. That
Wow.
was the idea. So we
Wow.
get back from our first year, and I was like, I want to put together a super group, and I'm going to make because Table 10 was a 3-piece acoustic, mostly very mellow, I've heard, and I was like, Jason O played drums back then, and he's a fantastic drummer, and Dan was going to play fiddle, and we did. We had one night a week at the first where it was all of us, and these nights we're crushing like
Sweet.
two-step. I can't even describe to you Antonio on the bongos with Jason on the drums was just like nuts, and we just couldn't keep it together. But
Mm.
that band, can you see this Stone Pony poster in my frame? Probably not.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That band
Yeah.
played this show with Rusted Root at the Stone Pony. That 5-piece.
Oh, that's dope.
Everyone went.
That's
Everyone
dope.
went to Asbury Park. and that was going to be the band,
That's
but
really
just couldn't
cool.
hold it together. So now I see our boy Jason doing My Hero Zero, still crushing it.
Crushing it, man. He's got a nice little career there. So
Absolutely.
cheers to him, man.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Well, we need to land this plane, Pat.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right now, people are watching you perform here and there, sneaking out, getting out, playing live with your boy Javi. And I know you guys are
That's right.
producing together. Songs are coming out too. We obviously know your first single that came out. When are we going to hear some more stuff from the two? When are we going to, or am I going to see you in LA play?
So
What's the next show? What's the plan?
Javi has, we just recorded a good chunk of his next EP last weekend. So we're working on that right now. He's got 5 songs coming out. I'm producing the project, so I'm super pumped about that.
Nice.
He and I also have another co-release song. Yeah, I'm just doing like people see a lot online. It's only a small portion of
Yeah, I can only imagine,
what's
man.
going on behind the scenes. I got a couple of artists in addition to Javi that I'm working with that I'm very, very excited about. Some great tunes. My bro Garrett West, also known as 1G West. We got some serious tunes with him. My buddy Finn Roberts, we just started his project. We've written one song for it, but I'm super excited. And in terms of stuff that kind of what I'm doing now is I'm producing, but I'll find an opportunity to do a co-release, like if it's appropriate for me to
Yeah.
put something on my artist project as well. So Javi and I have like 6 songs that we're working on right now. One of them is a co-release,
Sick.
and then I'm producing all of them. So that's
Yeah, for
exciting.
sure.
But yeah, man, it's going to be a year. So
Yeah.
we hit the ground running in January, and it's only going to ramp up from here.
Well,
So,
I'll tell you what,
you know,
the idea so far about this podcast is it's not going to be like, hopefully you can tell from today, it's not like just a retrospective or like when you were 12, what happened. It's more like a hang.
yeah,
So hopefully we can check back
yeah,
in later this year, see what you're up to. We'll be in LA
let's
in
do it, man.
March. Let's make some noise and do something crazy there.
Yeah,
Uh,
I want to see a Josh Jam show in person. So let's make it
yeah.
happen.
So like I'm looking for 2 things at this point. The rig I'm talking about, the other component is it's going to be completely wireless. So we can go anywhere, all battery powered, do anything. So wherever there's people at, let's try to go make a scene Harry Mack style. And then one of the places should just be a venue that we go into and just try to take over. But let's get you rigged up with me and let's jam out in the street. Let's do it.
Be fun,
All
man.
right,
Be
brother.
fun.
Listen, thanks for being here. Everyone go check out Pat at Patrick Breen Music on YouTube and all over the internet.
Thank you, bro.
Stay tuned for more music with him and Javi. And we'll catch you next time on the Josh Jams podcast. See you next time.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye.